This is it. This is the last one.
Delicious hot schmoes.
They're called s'mores, Buzz.
Right, of course.
No more after this.
Yes.
Not because we don't want to, but because...
I don't want to, actually.
All right, so he doesn't want to. But because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, that's about right. At least for Thunderbolts.
For Thunderbolts, obviously. There's other things to talk about past Thunderbolts, right? We've got the Fantastic Four we can start talking about. We've got Doomsday that we can eventually start talking about.
Beautiful.
There's some Marvel stuff we can definitely chat about if we so choose. But Thunderbolts is here in a couple months, and we got two characters we haven't talked about at all that are apparently making themselves a part of the movie. I speak only of the greatest character on the cast of the Thunderbolts, which is Taskmaster.
Taskmaster, let's go.
The best. No. Taskmaster and the actual GOAT of the Thunderbolts, Bucky flippin' Winter Soldier Barnes.
Bucky Abraham Benjamin Bars.
Is that his name?
It is now.
All right.
It is now.
That is his name. I approve. It's now canon.
Canon. I agree. No, that's sweet.
Oh.
And we have to talk about Midmaster, but that's fine.
This whole series of just us talking about these characters has been focused on what we think is going to happen to these characters in this movie. But last week when Marvel freaking announced the cast for Doomsday, the entire Thunderbolts cast, except for Taskmaster, was announced to be in the next Avengers movie.
So they all survive except Taskmaster, which we knew would die instantaneously because
she's not in any of the marketing material except for
trash. Genuinely waste of. Should never have brought her on. That's a waste of money and casting.
I agree. And what I think is funny is that character of Taskmaster in the MCU is just like the most, especially in the cast of like the Thunderbolts, probably the least cool character, has the least powerful abilities, in my opinion, and is genuinely like just the worst adaptation of a comic book character, at least in the realm of the Thunderbolts, that they have out of all of the characters. None of them are exactly the comic book characters, but Taskmaster is the worst adaptation.
You know, as I rack my mind about who could be the worst in MCU history, it's genuinely Taskmaster.
I mean...
Like, who else? Exactly.
Off the top of my head, don't know. Yeah, don't know. Actually, I have one better. The Mandarin. Anyway,
No. You know what, dude? No. Actually better. I'm gonna be honest. Actually better.
You're saying Tony is a better character? No, Toby? What's his name?
I can't remember, but he made friends with that weird non-headed Shang-Chi pet
that's
thing.
fair. That's
So
fair.
he's genuinely a good guy. So,
All right.
Taskmaster, bad at everything.
But
MCU.
dude, it's like worst adaptation of a character. Okay, gender swap aside, just take that out of the equation because Taskmaster. I don't think I don't know if Taskmaster is actually ever revealed to be a man or a woman. I'm pretty sure he's a dude though.
I think.
Besides that, I could care less about a gender swap. I don't care about that. But the fact that they just made this all-powerful character, just the wimpiest looking character in the Black Widow movie, dude.
Just a person in like a suit, like come on, bro.
Taskmaster doesn't lose to the Red Guardian. Look, no, that's not a thing. That is genuinely not a thing.
I think we talked about Taskmaster enough to know that
Yes.
I think Taskmaster trains most of like the widow, like people that are associated the widows.
Throughout comic book history, I'm fairly confident to say that Taskmaster has trained every individual on this Thunderbolts roster in some version of comic books.
Yep.
Taskmaster is supposed to be the reason all
yeah.
of these characters are good at what they do.
Are good, but how are you going to be able to beat the guy that taught you how to fight if his whole power is that he's perfect at copying your ability to counter you?
Exactly.
So what, you could get beat by a waste, like a wasted super soldier? I don't know. Like
No,
that doesn't make sense.
not a thing.
And they fumbled the design. It should have just been a straight up skull head like it is in the comics, bro.
I know. Such a cool costume. The Taskmaster costume.
One really great design. The comics I think Namor has a better design.
Yes, I will agree with you on that, but Taskmaster is up there for one of the greatest design characters.
Namor has a better design than MCU. MCU, we're talking about MCU.
Oh yeah, MCU.
I think Taskmaster is one of the best MCU suits.
Okay, that's fair.
Not one of the best. One of the best comics.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Second to Magneto, but
Magneto's just classic. You can't. It's just such a good. No matter what version of Magneto you have, he always looks good. Like it's just such a good, goated costume. So.
Yep. Anyways, we spent too much energy talking about horrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why she's gonna die.
Deserved.
So.
Well deserved. Benjamin Abraham Jackson Barnes is next. So let's do this.
All right. Bucky freaking Barnes, the GOAT, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America's best friend from childhood, is, in my opinion, the reason, at least to begin with, why Steve is the man that he is in MCU, in comic books, anything like that. Bucky Barnes, because Steve, let's just talk MCU for a second. Because Steve is like at the beginning of his story in such a underwhelming spot physically and socially and all that sort of stuff, he looks up to Bucky Barnes like he is God. Like Bucky Barnes is his idol and his best friend. And he's like the driving factor for Steve to not only be a good person, but to be like very like steadfast and immovable in his beliefs and all that sort of stuff. Hence why he joins the army and all that sort of stuff and then becomes Captain America. So we do not have Avengers. We do not have like any of the cool stuff that happens within the MCU without Bucky Barnes. Goated character. We love Winter Soldier. Cool. Genuinely like such a cool character. And in the comics, he is slightly different than in the movies. Obviously, so is everybody else. But one of the big things that is often different in comic book runs, I think we've briefly mentioned it before, I don't remember or not, but Bucky Barnes is not usually a super soldier. He's usually just, all he's got his tactics. He is like physically able, like he's definitely in good shape and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Above average in that sort of sense. But what sets him apart is usually just his metal arm. But because he's got a metal arm and he's really good at fighting, he oftentimes, as the Winter Soldier, fights the Avengers and does a really good job at it because he's just a masterful tactician. Obviously, he fights Captain America, beats him sometimes, loses sometimes, all that sort of stuff as Winter Soldier, i.e. evil Bucky Barnes. But when he is Bucky Barnes, one thing that I find very similar from comics to MCU is he's almost always standing right next to Steve Rogers, Captain America. Almost every flipping time. Those two guys are inseparable, which is super, super cool. Not always been on the Avengers. He's been on the Thunderbolts teams. He's been on Dark Avengers teams, stuff like that, all over the place. I don't know. There's not a whole, like, other than just saying that Bucky Barnes is literally one of the coolest characters in the MCU and fundamental characters in comic books. There's not a whole lot else I can do other than praise him, honestly. I love his character, and they do a lot of cool stuff with him in both realms.
Definitely.
And as much as I love Bucky Barnes, I don't know if you have anything that you know about him that you want to say, but I just want to talk about Thunderbolts, unless you have something to say specifically about Bucky Barnes.
I really, all I could say is that he's pretty similar in the comics to the other characters in a sense that he's not all around a lot.
Yes.
And he's kind of here and there. The MCU is really good at revitalizing forgotten characters.
Lesser utilized characters, for sure.
Before Bucky showed up, and I would say Winter Soldier is what really got him going in the MCU.
Yeah.
Before that, I mean, he really was nothing to anyone. I think is maybe had a cult following at the time, and then he got really popular, and then Falcon the Winter Soldier, it got even better. And I think the MCU is really good at taking those characters, adding that really important relationship and those layers of depth to those characters. Some with Red Guardian and the U.S. agent John Walker, Yelena, right? Just these like kind of unknown, kind of useless characters in the comics.
Yeah.
They make them better.
Very unique and underutilized characters that become mainstream personas.
Yep.
Same could be said arguably about Captain America. Captain America is not a super popular comic until the MCU. Had a lot more going on versus these other Thunderbolts characters, but those kinds of things, it's very interesting to see, right? Like you said, that correlation of MCU takes a character, makes it popular, and then people read the comics and are like, yo, this character's cool. More comic books come out around those characters because people are now looking at them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But we're going to stop talking about characters for a second because it is time.
So the movie comes out in what, 2 months?
Yeah. June something. Let's see. Thunderbolts.
We're going to watch Peak here in 2 days. 3 days.
We're watching what?
2 days. Peak.
Oh, yeah.
Peak
We're watching
movie.
the best movie in the world in 2 days. May 2nd is the release date. So we got a month.
It's in 1 month exactly, bro.
Yeah, tomorrow 1 month.
Holy cow. It's fake day, so
yeah,
I thought you were lying.
It's fake day today. So, yeah. We got exactly a month and we get to watch Thunderbolts, which is going to be so fun.
I think it'll be really good. I'm more looking forward to Fantastic Four, but
I would say, like, as far as like the nerd in me is definitely looking forward to a Fantastic Four movie, especially hopefully a good Fantastic Four movie.
It'll be good
because we've had 3 mid Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, but
so
I think Thunderbolts would be great. I think they're gonna name drop the Dark Avengers at the end of it, and if they're all surviving, guarantee you they're gonna be called the Dark Avengers. Like, it doesn't make sense that they're just Thunderbolts asterisk. Maybe the asterisk is the fact that Taskmaster dies instantly, and there's no Thunderbolts without a Taskmaster.
Maybe.
Or the real Taskmaster comes in. I don't know. But
what do you think about them instead of them being the Dark Avengers, right? Because they were announced as characters to be in the new Doomsday movie. Do you think that they're just going to be a part of the regular Avengers team?
Definitely not.
No, you think they're going to be separate?
I think Doomsday is about getting multiple Avenger type groups together, and the Dark Avengers, this is like their debut. So now they're known and well enough that they need their help against Doom. What are they going to do against Doom? I mean, nothing, but they'll be there to distract.
We'll find out. We'll talk about it. Yeah, they'll get clapped except for Sentry.
True, Sentry will not. He'll probably just leave, honestly.
So, obviously, they dropped that announcement the other day, and everybody except for Taskmaster, including Sentry, is on that list of characters. Which could just be them not saying it, that Taskmaster is going to be on it, or, like we tend to believe, Taskmaster is going to be dead by the end of this movie. But go
ahead. I'm sorry.
This is my question to you. If this movie, if everybody except for Taskmaster survives, do you think this movie is going to be about them subduing Bob, aka the Sentry? Or is this movie going to be, like you kind of mentioned briefly weeks and weeks ago, Sentry teaming up with them to fight against another character?
Here's two parts to your answer. I'm afraid of it being the first part of that question, of the whole movie being them trying to subdue the Void, which is genuinely one of the most strong forces in the universe. So I'm really hoping they're not going to just be like, well, I was tortured in the Red Room being taught how to be a widow.
You don't want a Captain America 4 ending?
I don't want it. And I don't want the Void to be like, you're right. I won't kill anyone. I won't turn people into shadows and dust.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bro. Are you kidding?
That's fair.
That should not be what the movie's about. It shouldn't be about them like facing their dark past. Like, that should be part of it, but not the main focus either. And I don't, because that's what Falcon the Winter Soldier was, and they should not be doing that for any of the other characters because it doesn't matter. I'm hoping that there is a greater villain, and it is someone that's genuinely dangerous, and they do convince the Void that he is a greater threat.
Yeah.
And that he needs to just help them. And that's what kind of the Void helping them kind of like is against the Void's nature, and that kind of subdues itself. But I'm just hoping that the whole movie's not like, I'm sad because I did bad things. The Void, yeah, you're right.
You're right.
I'll stop killing because I'm that evil. It's like, okay, bro. I'm gonna walk out of the theater if it's that. What is that movie about? Like, a bunch of depressed people that can subdue the greatest threat they've ever seen. Like, okay,
through talking out their feelings. No, that's a Sam Wilson Captain America trait. He's the one. He's the therapist.
Group therapy, dude. It helped Bucky, but
I mean, true, and it helped Sam and all that sort of stuff. But I think you've got such a good point. That would be the absolute worst way to tell the story, especially a debut story of a character like the Sentry. Like, Bob is genuinely like a cool, complex character because of himself and his powers and the Void.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely is just like such a cool, unique character. And if they don't actually give him the opportunity to truly show us what he's made of, I don't think it's going to be that exciting to see him in Doomsday or Infinity War if he's in that movie as well. So, but
not Infinity War. But yes.
Not Infinity War. I meant Secret Wars. That's what I meant.
Infinity War is goated. I think Secret Wars will also be that level, but yeah, we'll get to that in a year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We gotta watch Doomsday first.
But yeah, dude, it's true. I think a lot about that right now.
So I had a theory the other day that led to a theory that I want to just ask your opinion on. It kind of correlates to what we just talked about, how we don't want it to be one way. So if it's going to be this other way where Sentry ends up teaming up with the Thunderbolts, let's say a third of the way through the movie, half of the way through the movie, to fight against a bigger threat, how likely is it that that bigger threat is not necessarily a herald, but an associate of Doctor Doom? And as like maybe our first threat versus Doctor Doom, similar to like Loki in the first Avengers movie.
I hope it's not.
Okay.
Really. We've never had a Victor Von Doom character in the MCU. And if they just randomly start doing that, it's like isn't the whole point of Doomsday to introduce Doom? Like, where is he coming from, and why is a herald all of a sudden here?
That's fair.
Like, what is the point of that? Yeah, I mean, they'd have to do a lot of backpedaling to explain. All of a sudden, there's a Doom here. Oh, and he looks like RDJ, but I think that's the whole point of the Doomsday movie. So
yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily see Doom at all. I'm just thinking like potentially somebody who just mentions a Doom, like they're maybe like cool. Working for / with or something like that.
It would
and
be
they
cool.
mention
I'm gonna be
Doom.
honest.
I don't want them to show Doom. Doom needs to wait until either Doomsday, at the earliest, the end of Fantastic Four, because he belongs in that store in Fantastic Four stories. But
so I it would be cool to see like a herald, but there's not. Is there any heralds of Doom? Like what?
I don't know that there necessarily is. I know in like the 2015 Secret Wars run, the more recent one, he becomes like God Emperor Doom and has a bunch of people that work for him. But I don't know that there's anybody that's necessarily labeled as a herald. That's just the only like word I could think of to.
I was gonna say Doom usually works alone.
Yeah, so, unless he becomes God.
What they should do is not mention anything like that.
Okay.
It would be cool, but they shouldn't. They really should not.
Fair.
I think all this movie's doing is setting up just a group for Doomsday. And then the Fantastic Four is setting up another group for Doomsday. And then we'll see Dr. Doom show up in the end of Fantastic Four, and they're jumping universes.
Yeah.
But I think we shouldn't know anything about Doom. It should all be about Sentry. Maybe the real Avengers do show up. Maybe this is an Avengers movie.
That'd be
not about the Dark Avengers, but the Avengers show up at the end, and how the new Avengers maybe or something. And
yeah, I mean, it's a very small list of people that I could consider on the Avengers team right now. So
yeah, Kate Bishop and
we got Sam and Falcon, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Falcon, or he's Cap, Falcon.
Let's see, Cap, Falcon,
Bishop.
Kate Bishop probably. You could then also consider still Bruce Banner as part of the Avengers.
Ant-Man, She-Hulk.
Ant-Man, She-Hulk.
I think that's about it. Like, I don't.
And maybe Doctor Strange. But Doctor Strange isn't on World right now, as far as we know. Because the end of Doctor Strange.
He left with a baddie, bro, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
He got a third eye, met a woman, left with her. I was like, bro, okay.
Yeah, and we don't know where or what he's doing. Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I really don't know what's going to happen anymore. I'm going to be real, because of them announcing that they're all alive. So I'm just going to say that
it definitely really threw a wrench in everything that I thought was going to happen. So
yeah, really great way to do that. So I'm not really sure what's I guess we'll see in a month. I'm excited.
Unsure but excited is definitely how we're feeling.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
So,
but yeah, I don't know. We just wanted to. That's all we needed to say. Just get ready for Thunderbolts. Goated team of characters that are going to be a lot of fun to watch together. More than anything, that's what's going to be a good time. Is the characters themselves just have great chemistry. I think with everybody, they all just kind of mesh well / not well, which makes them mesh well as far as their personalities and all that sort of stuff. So, plus Bob.
Bob is chill.
Bob is
probably not in the movie, but we'll see.
It'll be good. I don't really have anything else to say. You have anything else to say?
There's only one thing worse than Taskmaster from the MCU, and that is a movie called
Tombstone. Never seen it, never will.
Never will.
Peace. Also, side tangent real quick before I hit the stop recording button. We are going to be watching probably the best movie of the year on Thursday, aka tomorrow, because you're watching this on a Wednesday. The Minecraft movie.
Yeah, the Steve movie.
So expect something to be expect just the best movie in the world, because it's gonna be
2 thumbs up. I'm excited.
Already 2 thumbs up. It basically should get every Oscar nomination ever that has ever existed, and I haven't even seen the movie yet.
Jack Black is a morally perfect person, and Jason Momoa is Aquaman, so that'll be fine.
Exactly.
So it's a great movie.
Perfect movie. It's gonna make $1 more billion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I kind of hope so. It'd be funny, but
it would be really funny if it did. But anyway, all right. Now I'm pressing the unrecord button. So.